And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here on a Saturday morning. It's 9 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it is time for our Saturday Science of Mind and Spirit conversation series. Such a long name. But we didn't know what else to call it and how else, we've been doing it for, this is our fourth year now, fifth year, fourth year. We didn't do it in 2020, but 1, 2, 3, 4, this is our fifth year of doing this program, and it never gets old for me. I love it every time I get to do it. Good morning, Shay. Glad you're with us, dear one. Thank you for being here. Hope you're having a beautiful day out there on your side of the mesa, your side of the mountains, as it were. And anyone else that's watching, welcome. You're welcome to chime in, chat along, drop a name, let us know where you are, interact, leave a comment or a question as we go along. Anything that feels appropriate to you is, I'll see it first. So, okay. Yes. I have totally spaced out where my tea is, and I'm never going to make this whole talk without another cup of tea in here. So I'm going to get started with that. Give other folks a chance to filter into the room. If you're just joining us, welcome. You're just getting notified this is getting started. And if you're watching on a replay, feel free to interact as well. Let us know where you are, where you're watching. Let us know any questions or comments you might have as we go along. As we get this started this morning, I want to say a big special thank you to Reverend Dr. Mark Gilbert and Reverend Barbara Bew. Reverend Dr. Mark is one of our regular hosts here, and last week he brought in a guest, which is interesting because I don't know that we've ever had a guest sort of pseudo interview, but not really an interview. It was a great show. Check it out in the archives on our YouTube page. It's there from last week's program. It was I watched. It was really fun. It was a good time. So, all right. And this week, what we're going to talk about, let me pull up my information here, is we have a great program, or a great sorry. Let's start that again. What do you think? We are in that portion of the year where we look at resources from the Science of Mind archives. And in regard to that, today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this little book by Ernest Holmes called The Lodestone of Life. Love, the Lodestone of Life. And this is a fun piece. It's a little challenging with me. It's a little challenge because there's a lot of old, antiquated, gender-based language that we're going to have to change. So you're going to be patient with me, and you're going to as we change some of the gender-based language that is here. So I, however, do not like that layout. That is not what we had going on before. And I like for you all to be able to see a bit more of what it is that is happening here. So we're going to change a couple things because I like you to be able to read along with me. To me, that's an important piece. All right. Oh, this is why we were going to do this layout. There we go. Thank you. Your patience is greatly appreciated. So, okay. Thanks to the Science of Mind Archives for making all of this happen. This is a book that's in public domain. However, they make sure that we're able to access it online. If you have a chance, please visit the archives website. All right. And this was originally a spoken piece. This was originally a sermon that Dr. Holmes delivered on a Sunday evening, part of the this thing called Life, which was the television series, if I have that correct. So Mark, Dr. Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is from one of those. It was either a radio program or an evening TV broadcast. And so let's dig into it. All right. Humans' three greatest needs are to feel that we are needed, wanted, and loved. Remember those threes: needed, wanted, and loved. To feel that we belong to the universe in which we live, and to have an object or objects upon which to lavish our affection. It is now known that most unhappiness comes from a sense of being rejected, of not being wanted, needed, and loved. It is also known that a large percent of our physical troubles is a direct result of emotional congestions that follow in the wake of feeling that we don't belong. We'll move this over here because I still do not. There we go. Need to be able to feel like I'm connected to you guys a bit, and I'm not watching. So we're going to change this around again and try again and see where it goes. I guess you're definitely just getting to see some aspens in the background there. Very appropriate for Colorado this time of year. All right. Okay, so starting down here on the bottom of that first paragraph, it is also known that a large percent of our physical troubles is a direct result of emotional congestions that follow in the wake of feeling that we don't belong to life. So this sense that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, all those things lump into that same feeling that we don't belong to life. And that's not the truth, but we'll get to that. We call these things repressions, inner conflicts, frustrations, and sometimes we call them inferiority or superiority complexes. All these terms really refer back to our three fundamental propositions. We are so constituted by this thing called life that we want to love and be loved. We want to sing and dance and be glad. We want to be friends and to have friends. Now, you can't beat nature at her own game. At least no one has ever succeeded in doing it. We are born with an urge to express life. We are born with a desire to unite our living with others, to enjoy people, and to live creatively. It seems as though something dynamic entered into us when we were born, an impulse to enter into the joy of living and to give vent to those thoughts and feelings, those emotional urges and impulses which every normal human has. Now you might ask, what has all this got to do with love? It has everything in the world to do with love. For love is the givingness of the self, the imparting of the self to people, the projection of the self into the activities of life. Love is one of the supreme emotions in our life. Without love, everything is drab and without meaning. But love has another need of its own. It must be loved in return. You not only wish to love others, you also wish them to love you. Otherwise, the circle isn't complete. When you love others and they return this affection, you are happy. But if your love is rejected, then you feel isolated and alone, unhappy, and depressed. Here's some of that old language for you. A large percent of juvenile delinquency, let's just say a large percentage of behavioral concerns, sure. The stuff we don't like in our lives is a lack of affection, cooperation, and understanding in the family. Love really is the integrating factor of the family. A child must feel wanted and needed and loved. They must feel that they are understood and appreciated. They must feel the warmth and the color of affection. And it seems interesting to me that in the late 1940s, this would be the topic of conversation, because it feels to me like this is an absolute given in today's society. And so 75 years later, we don't even quite talk about it this way, right? We know these things. We're not learning these things. We know these things. And so, okay. A large percentage, and what I also understand, folks, is this isn't the truth. This isn't everybody's experience. This is the high vision of how things can be. And I believe we're working towards those more and more. We still have a long way to go, specifically in this area. And if as a child you didn't feel wanted, needed, and loved, you don't have to stay there as an adult. More on that later. So back to our reading. If right here, if you were to trace the mental, the emotional, the spiritual background of the average criminal, you would probably find that they are conditioned early in life to feel a sense of rejection. This emotional craving for affection has been rejected because they feel isolated, separated, as though they were alone in the world. Therefore, we build up an aggressiveness that fights everything down. And so here he's using this term, the average criminal, and we could just as easily look at this topic, this concept, through the eyes of our transgender brothers and sisters in today's world, because many of them do not feel that they are loved or understood, appreciated. And so it's not, I don't want to call all of it a criminal act. And my understanding of the trans experience is that it's easy to feel that separation and isolation and feel like you're the only one if we don't talk about it. If young kids don't understand, they're making up those stories when we remain silent about these things. So let's continue with Holmes. One of two things generally happens to the child who feels rejected. They either retire within themselves and becomes antisocial, or in self-defense builds up an aggressiveness that is hard to govern. They're stubborn, obstinate, and willful, but if we were to examine more carefully, we might discover that they're merely building a wall around themselves. Yes, happens all the time. And not only as children. We all have a need for each other. If you were to read the many hundreds of books on this subject that have been written in the last 25 years, so 100 years now, if you were to read all the many hundreds of thousands of books and boil them down to their real meaning, I believe this is what you will find. You were born out of the creative urge of life to express itself. And when you entered this life, even as an infant, this urge was already there. You didn't put it there. It is an urge to live, to love, to create, to find happiness, to feel needed and loved, to cooperate with others and have them cooperate with you. And when this doesn't happen, you feel frustrated and unhappy and alone. I want to read that again. You are born out of the creative urge of life to express itself. When you entered this life, this urge was already there. You didn't put it there. It is an urge to live, to love, to create, to find happiness, to feel needed and loved, to cooperate with others and have them cooperate with you. Next paragraph. It is said that when we are unhappy, there are 4 great adjustments that need to be made in our mental and emotional lives. So here's the keys, folks. Ready? 4 great adjustments. If we're not feeling happy, if we're not liking what we're doing, if we're unhappy with what's going on in our lives or around us, or any of these limiting beliefs about ourselves, the first adjustment is to say to the self, to try to find out, who am I? What am I? Do I make sense? Am I worthwhile? And am I somebody in my own right? The next adjustment is to those immediately around us. So let's talk about the first set first, right? We've all heard this. You've heard me say this. If you've run into me anywhere in the last several years, you know we start with ourselves. These are great visioning type questions, great meditative inquiry questions. Who am I? Do I make sense? If not, okay. We'll change that. Am I worthwhile? Yes, because you're here. Am I somebody in my own right? Yes, you are. And if the outpicturing doesn't look like the yes, well, that's a place where we can seek out some help and some support and get with me, get with a practitioner, get a conversation going, and let's do some prayer work around that. So we start with ourselves. The next adjustment is to society, the world in which we live. Is life for me or against me? Are people trying to tear me down or build me up? Can I trust them? Can I believe in their sincerity? Do I dare to have an affection for them? Do I dare express it? Or do I feel that I will be rejected, laughed at, and cast out? Here is where I believe we are called as metaphysicians to trust, to step into that deep, deep sense of trust and that deep sense of faith that life is good, that life is for me, that people are trying to support me and help me and move and give me the opportunities, be there for me. All of this comes with time, with faith, with doing it again and again and again, because there will be some that it appears are not sincere. And there will be places, spaces, or experiences where we express our affection and it is rebuked or rejected or pushed back. And I want everyone to know none of any of that is about you. It isn't really personal, even if they think it is personal. The only way an insult or an aggression really hurts is if you take it on as true, if you agree. So no. Someone suggests you're broken. No, I'm not broken. Someone rejects an idea. That's not about me. That's about them. Let it be about them. I'm going to continue being me. And then the next adjustment is to life itself, the universe, to this thing called life. Have I a personal and intimate relationship to it, meaning God here? So the questions that Home is having us asked, the questions Home is suggesting we ask, have I a personal and intimate relationship with God, or am I of no more account than a feather wafting downward from an eagle in its flight? Does the universe itself make sense? Is there a God? Does this God love me? Can I love this God? Do I feel at home in the universe? Can I have confidence? Can I have trust and faith? Is it safe for me to believe in God, in life, in people, in myself? At least 75% of our chance to be physically well, mentally and emotionally happy, and to live a successful life depends upon making these adjustments. So we're dealing with something very vital, something that is a personal problem to each of us, and something we need to know that we need to know about. Let's start then with the first adjustment, which is to myself. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What shall I do with myself? What is this strange emotion I feel that makes me want to like people and have them like me in return? Am I a part of something bigger than I am, or am I alone, buffeted by fate? There's but one answer to this. You belong to the universe in which you live. A power greater than you are has put you here. You can't fight it. You can't deny it. You can't get away from it. God wanted you and needed you, else you wouldn't be here. You can trust this something you called life. It is not only where you are, it is what you are. It is in as well as around you, and its whole impulse is love. The universe rests on the shoulders of love. Love is the lodestone of life. The very fact that when you were born here, you reached out in trust to those around you is proof enough. Just accept then that no matter what your experience may have been up until now, the truth about you is that while you were born of human parentage, the thing that is really you, that came through this human parentage, is an original, creative, wonderful thing. You are God's beloved one. You don't have to make this up. It isn't just an ideal sentiment. It isn't a platitude. It is real. It is the truth about you. Accept it and be glad. Wow. Woo. The next proposition, need a little sip of tea here. The next proposition is that this is also true about everyone you will ever meet. Everyone. Everyone has the same feelings that you have, the same desire and the same need, and no one can be happy until they have worked out a right relationship with this thing called life or God. Just make up your mind that you live and move and have your being in that which is the very spirit of life itself, whose whole impulse is love, whose whole desire is to give. But perhaps God, like human, also needs that you return to the one, this affection that has been put, that is for you. For if it's true in your human relationship that your desire for love and affection must be met by that which loves in return, don't you think that the greater life, which has given you this life, must have the same desire? Of course it must. So this is an interesting question in for me in the philosophy of New Thought. We talk of God as the power, presence, and intelligence, and we talk of God as completely impartial. And here, Holmes is saying that God, the divine, the universal, has that desire for the return of the love that is available as its very nature. It almost sounds a little dualistic sometimes. And I want us, I invite us, for me, when I find these things by Holmes, it hits me as a sense of that was the way he could communicate it to people at the time. We still, back in 1949, we still needed to speak of God and man, human, as some degree of separation. So, I want to read this without changing the pronouns. But perhaps God, like man, also needs, and he says perhaps, so it's not like he's making this a definitive, right? But perhaps God, like man, also needs that you return to him, capital H, God, this affection that he has for you. God also needs you to return the affection that he has for you. If this is true in your human relationships, and it is in our human relationships, we desire love and affection, and we expect the love and affection to be returned when we send it out there. So if that's true in the microcosm of humanity, of human, don't you think that the greater life, which has given you this life, must have the same desire? I think in some ways, New Thought has evolved into a greater experience or understanding of our oneness. So the question is, does God desire? We might have to continue to see how tonight's this talk unfolds and come back to that question. Does God desire? He continues, you must learn to have confidence in life. And that's a capital L, life. So that's right here. So that's a capital L. So that means God. You must learn to have confidence in life, to believe it, to trust it, to have faith in it. And you must come to feel that it returns that love and confidence, that as your love goes out to it, its love returns to you multiplied, just as it does when you love people. For love begets love. Confidence inspires confidence, and faith is met with faith. Having come to the conclusion that you belong to the universe, that even God has need of you, and that love is really the wellspring of your life, learn to feel this about all people. For back of the mask, which people so often wear, the attitude of coldness they assume, there is always that soft, tender thing in the strongest as well as the gentlest. Reach back to it, unite with it. If I were to find this, being a student of Ernest Holmes, if you were to find this as a written piece on a written piece of paper and didn't have any context, I could tell you this was a spoken piece just by those last few sentences there. Because what I leave out there is the pronouns again. And so for back of the mask, which people so often wear, the attitude of coldness they assume, there is always that soft, tender thing in the strongest man as well as the gentlest woman. And so in his more academic writings, you don't see reference to the female or to the woman as often, and definitely not in that sort of both and alliteration that he used there. You can tell this is a spoken piece. Okay. So having come to the conclusion that you belong to the universe and that even God has need of you, and that love is really the wellspring of your life, learn to feel this about all people. Next paragraph. This is your adjustment to life. This alone can make you happy. And don't feel that in doing this, you will become a mere sentimentalist, that you will become weak or inefficient. Quite the reverse. It will make you self-reliant. It will give you confidence in life. It will help you to get along with people. It is a sure guide to the only success that is worthwhile. Jesus said, as I have loved you, love ye one another. I don't think we could call Jesus a weak character. The man who could perform miracles, the one who was able to resurrect himself and triumph over the grave, he whose power stilled the wind and the wave. Perhaps he was the only real normal person who ever lived. What do you think? And I got to say right there, I love it. I don't remember ever seeing any one of these where Ernest ends with the "What do you think?" challenge. Which is the ultimate gotcha challenge of social media, right? We all want the engagement, we all want the clicks. So I can't tell you how many creators I see that say, "So what do you think? Tell me in the comments." Tell us in the comments. But folks, if you're with us and you're listening and you're willing to interact today live with us, I would love to hear your ideas or thoughts on that portion there that we were reading, that piece around, does God have a desire? Can God desire? Because if we say that God desires to have the love that it sends out return to it, doesn't that to some degree imply that God might desire that it not come back? Now, we could also say that's not the nature of the divine. That's not the nature of God. The very nature of God is to love, is love, is not to love or be love. The nature of God is love. God is love. That's an important distinction, because we have to remember there's nowhere that God cannot love or does not love. There are people on the planet that I don't love, that my humanness does not love. And that cannot mean that there is an experience that God does not love. That I am the expression of God not loving that person. Because there's got to be somebody out there that doesn't love me. And then therefore there would have to be a part of God that doesn't love me. I like to think of the divine as unchangeable until humans get in the way. And I do mean get in the way. The oneness of life can't possibly say one person is better than another. The oneness of life cannot possibly say this person is more deserving of success than another. The divine, the oneness of life cannot possibly say, oh, that one's broken. This is not, excuse me, I just had this image slam into the back of my mind. That this is not a pottery shed, and God is not some pottery expert, a potter sitting in a shed making bowls and plates and cups, and oh, I don't like that one, and that one's a little wobbly, and throwing things away, and has a scrap pile of broken pottery shards. It's not how it happens. Every one of us, every single one of us is a divine emanation of God's life. Everyone. Everyone. Yes, even that one. And yes, even him, and yes, even her. Everyone is a divine emanation of God's life. And everyone is here to bring a unique set of gifts and skills and talents to this thing called life. Again, I can't agree with how every single person chooses to express this thing called God, but I think that is in some ways part of the challenge, to get beyond our hang-ups around the humanness and get to that point where we have a growing consciousness of true and absolute oneness. And the more time I spend seeing the divine in others, the more time I am in that place of oneness, the higher the vibration is that I am creating. And if I'm creating a more powerful, more consistent vibration of oneness, then those that are shouting for separation or believing in separation may just start to feel the vibe of what's happening. And as more and more of us, more and more of those that have come here to be the light, those that have come here that have found their way to this philosophy, the science of mind, have found their way to the greater New Thought movement, have found their way to, it isn't because we were lost. It is purely because we've been looking for we've been looking for our friends. That's part of where home starts this whole thing. It is natural to be in that search for those that are aligned, that for those that think like we do, that for those that are sharing a vibration of love and light and peace and harmony and beauty and abundance and prosperity for all. We are here. We are necessary. Who you are, how you show up is absolutely necessary for this thing called life. One of the greatest, and please hear me when I say, Dr. Holmes gave us so many absolutely amazing gifts through his writing, through his speaking, through his teaching, through his development of this philosophy, for his putting together the dots, as it were, for him connecting those dots, as it were. And one of the ones that has always inspired me the most, and I've always been so attracted to, is the title, This Thing Called Life. This thing called life. I have yet to find any better name for God than this thing called life. No better nickname. God's got a lot of nicknames. And a lot of people get triggered by the name God. Plain and simple. Probably because they've had, some experience somewhere. And they get triggered by the name God. So we come up with other nicknames for God. The one I've always loved is this thing called life. Because we all can easily approach the understanding that life changes, that life doesn't remain the same, and that we get one life, really. Okay. Near-death experiences, some would argue some come back for a second life. Yeah, I think it's all still one life. It's just part of the experiences of the one life. And that one life goes beyond the human. That one life, we are immortal. That one life goes well beyond. And I have no human ability to explain to you what my life did before the human. Heck, I can barely explain to you what my human did back when I was 2 or 3 or 4. Can you? I can't, honestly. I have memories that people told me of things that I did, but I don't remember. I have pictures that show, but I don't have a memory of a human. I don't have a human capacity to access a memory of those experiences. How might I have an ability to access the memory of what came before this human lifetime? But I have faith and I have confidence that something did, and something will come beyond this human lifetime. And in between, I'm going to enjoy every moment of this human lifetime I can. I'm going to do everything I can to be happy, to feel love, to give love, to avoid the situations of separation, or to step into them with an intention to heal the separation and remind each and every one of us that it's all good. It's all perfect. We're love. Be love. Go out and be love. Love and be loved. Love and be loved. Go out into the world, love like never before, and allow yourself to be loved. Recognize that the universe is for you, and nothing is against you. Yeah. Morning, Linda. One life, different forms. One life, different forms, demonstrating his energy, and that energy is influenced by consciousness. The energy I send into the world is influenced by my consciousness, because somebody was and here's how it works, folks. I cannot remember the name of the Peanuts character. Now, somebody out there is going to know what this one is. So write it in the chat when you remember, please. See, that's one of those little tricks. But I cannot remember the name of the character in Peanuts that always had a dark cloud over his head. And I remember Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. But what was the Peanuts equivalent of the Eeyore character? We walk around with a consciousness that says, I'm not enough, there's not enough, it's not good enough, it's not going to work out, everybody hates me, nobody loves me, it's all working against me, even God doesn't love me. We walk around with that. How long are we going to be able to maintain that? My gosh. We will prove ourselves right in no time. We will attract into our lives everything to prove that statement. Walk around and say, I am love. I am love. I am love. I am here to love and be loved. I am here to share that love. I am here to dissuade, to break down the barriers of separation, to erase those limiting thoughts that someone or something is not good enough, that anything is actually broken. Giving up the perspective that there's anything wrong here. Even when there's something wrong, give up that perspective. I want to finish with, before we wrap it up here, one more little piece that's at the end of this book. This is Pigpen. Thank you, Linda. Pigpen. Thank you. Yes, that was the name. The conversation I had, somebody was like, "Isn't that Linus?" And I'm like, "No, I know it's not Linus, but I couldn't remember the name." So, right, don't be a Pigpen. Don't be the Pigpen. Be you. Be you. Live it. Love it. I want to share this. This is in this little booklet. It's shared. It's listed as Dr. Holmes's meditation as heard on Sunday, December 18th, 1949. I'd like to read it to you. It's a bit more of a prayer than a meditation. So if you want to close your eyes and just listen, please do. As I said earlier, there is a golden key to right living. That key is prayer, affirmative prayer. Prayer is our direct line of communion with God. Through affirmative prayer, we learn to clear our minds of negative thoughts, of doubt and fear. This we must do if we are to become aware of the presence of God within and around us. Let us then take this thought as our prayer for today. If we love one another, God dwells in us, and his love is perfected in us. Let us join in affirming God's presence here and now. Let us shut every other thought out of the mind as we listen confidently, peacefully, and quietly. I believe that God is love. I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I meet. I believe that love is returned to me from every person I meet. I trust the guidance of love because I believe it is the power of good in the universe. I feel that love is flowing through me to heal every situation I meet, to help every person I contact. Love opens the way before me and makes it perfect, straight, and immediate. Love forgives everything unlike itself, purifies everything. Love converts everything that seems commonplace into that which is wonderful. Love converts weakness into strength, fear into faith. Love is the all conquering power of spirit. As a child walks in confidence with its parents, so I walk in confidence with life. As a child, through love, trusts its parents, so I put my trust in that love, which I feel to be everywhere present, within, around, and through me, within, around, and through all people. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, folks. If you have questions, comments, you're welcome to drop those in the chat box. We've got a few more minutes here before we normally wrap this up. I want to thank you for being with us, and I want to thank you for being with us throughout the year. This Saturday morning series is such for me, it is such a great exploration year after year after year. So I want to share just a little bit while we got a moment of how this all started. Originally, when I was coming up in this philosophy, Science of Mind churches all over the country, all over the globe, would teach the first four chapters of the Science of Mind textbook for the first 4 primary Sundays of January. And sometimes the calendar doesn't want to agree with that, and things would change a little bit. And over time, some communities stopped that practice. And it sort of started to float away into other things. And that's okay, and no complaints there, but I missed it. So I decided to bring it back. But I also thought to myself, you don't really want to hear me doing this every Saturday morning. And so I brought in some friends, and I brought in a team of people. Over the years, that team has shifted and changed, and it may shift and change for next year. I don't know. We're right now deciding who does want to continue and has the time and the ability to share with us on Saturdays, and perhaps bring in a new voice or two to help round out the exploration. But the idea is to come together in community and study the science of mind, to study the works of Ernest Holmes. And it starts at the beginning of the year, and we start with the first 4 chapters of the book. Usually the very first Sunday I do an introduction and get everybody warmed up with some things, and then we dive into the book for the second week and then onward. And we stay with the book every Saturday throughout the year. We stay with that book all the way until late July, when we run out of chapters in the book. And it's a great exploration to hear various teachers on each chapter. You can actually go back in our archives on YouTube, look at the archives, go search out a chapter from 2 or 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and search out a previous speaker's viewer perspective. Perhaps even watch your own if you were one of the presenters, and see how your own thinking has evolved from a few years back to now. We do a great job of switching it up so you hear from different people on the different topics and the different chapters. Then once we run out of the book, well, then we head over to the Science of Mind archives, and we all get to choose unique and interesting resources from the archives, predominantly centered on the teachings of Ernest Holmes. Sometimes we get a little off somewhere into another tributary of the philosophy, if you were, but for the most part, we're studying the works of Ernest. So I want to thank you for being with us today. I want to thank you for being a part of what we're doing as a network, as New Thought Media Network. And perhaps you enjoyed this enough that you have a little something and you'd like to make a donation. You're welcome to do that over on our website, ntmedia.org. Click on the donate button, and you'll see a form there. You can make a donation, one time or a recurring monthly donation. I'll tell you, no matter what it is, how much it is, it goes a long, long way to helping us continue to bring this Science of Mind message out into the world in ways we know that serve current students, and we trust will serve future students as well. So if you have one more minute, I would invite you, please don't rush away. Stay with me just for a little bit longer, because I want to say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors, and would love for you to join me in an energetic vibration of gratitude as we say this, as we do this together. So stay tuned. Stay with us. I'll be right back. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. All right. Thank you to all of our organizational sponsors and individual donors. We love you. We appreciate you. Everyone watching today or on the replay, thank you again for being with us. I'm Dr. Robert. I'm going to get out of here for now. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.